Have you heard the news? National Standards is gone. And I say that with a great deal of excitement and enthusiasm because I was one of those, all those years ago, that felt this tangible sense of concern, a real sense of worry and concern when they were imposed on the sector. The idea of standardised thinking about young people. What? In a modern education economy, and as principal at Island-based school at the time, my jaw dropped. We were on the cusp of launching into the NZC and doing that with real vigour because we recognised how exciting this curriculum was. And there were the national standards, and it had a really chilling effect on the integrity of our work with regard to that curriculum. And so we stand here now, excited, and we should be, because those things are no longer here. And so the question that confronts us today is, what next? Where to from here? What are you going to do in your community and in your work that carries us forward into this bright new future? Because the deal is, we've got an opportunity now, and if we don't seize that opportunity, it's going to disappear. For a long time in our sector, we've been talking about wanting to take the reins and take control and see the back of these things and move off into a creative and bright future. Okay, we've talked that talk. Now's the time for us to walk the walk. Let's not leave it to other people to tell us the way forward. I think the way forward is pretty clear, and in 10 minutes I'm going to give it to you. The wonderful students of Hastings Intermediate. Here's our brand new curriculum in the post-national standards era. We're reaching Te Maunga o Rongokako, Te Mata Peak, right next to our school, because we're reaching high. Because I want these kids to be aspirational for their future. You dream it, guys. We're behind you. Whatever that dream. Life is a beautiful thing, isn't it? And we want every youngster in New Zealand to grab the potential of life and go for it. We're flowing, because that's the tuki-tuk. The tuki-tuk flows through our region, and flow is all about well-being, because you can't learn unless you're well. And guess what? That's curriculum. So we need you to be well. We want to wrap our arms around you. We want you to know that when you come through the gates of school, you leave those problems outside the gate. When you come to Hastings Intermediate, it's a place that's warm, it's loving, it's supportive, it's interested in you. And we're stretching across the Heretaunga Plains, the diversity of life across our region in the Hawke's Bay. We want to see that diversity represented in the work of school. We want to see a broad, a rich, a creative, a generous, a human curriculum taking place for our students. And of course, we want students to grow in a school that's sustainable and secure. Our Turanga Waiwai is a place where we rest, we stand. It's a place that we're proud of, that we own, that we care about. It's a community of humans in all of its diversity. And together it frames our vision, our school vision. A school vision that we've worked hard to remember, because it's easy to remember to reach and flow and stretch and rest. I've never been able to remember my school vision. Way too complicated, but I can now. The detail of our curriculum is behind me, because this is our curriculum, and I'm not being facetious. This is the curriculum. What do we notice about the curriculum? What do we notice? Bright eyes. Kids with their life in front of them, and kids that are different from each other. And here lies the kaupapa, I think, for us going forward. And I seriously hope this is the deal. It's going to be at Hastings Intermediate, whether it is or not nationally, because that's the way we roll in this country. Hey, if it doesn't work at the centre, we do it anyway. because we know what works for kids. It's diversity, isn't it? It's diversity and complexity, not sameness and simplicity. Kids aren't the same, they're different. Curriculum should not be the same. Assessment should not be the same. It's not sameness. It's not a lockstep journey. It's not the same standard applied to every kid at the same age. Really? Horrified and disgusted at that idea. I've been horrified and disgusted for the last 8 years of these standards. Finally, we have an opportunity now to say, let's get intelligent as an education system, because kids are different from each other. The diversity of learners and the complexity of the human condition. Oh, yes. And in a post-national standards landscape, there are principles. We want to locate these principles in our practices. And I want to take you for a super quick dance in the last 5 minutes through how we might locate diversity and the complexity of the human condition in assessment. I think that we need to emancipate assessment. I think it's been owned by those that want to measure, compare, rank, judge, label, all of that nonsense. I have a deep distrust of assessment, and it's for good reason. It's because we as learners are so incredibly complex that any external effort to impose a set of conditions that enable you to judge achievement is almost certainly flawed. I mean, I think evidence will tell us that. Graham Nuttall's work tells us that. As you sit listening to me, most of you are away thinking of something else, or you're connecting to something in your lives, or you're worried about the cat that's locked in your cupboard at home, or you're agreeing, or you're interested in the quality shirt that I'm wearing today. And you are. That's the human condition. We are complex. We're not the same. The deal with assessment is that we want to take it from this idea of it being more trustworthy than it really is, because it ain't. And we want to give it some freedom. We want to give it some freedom for those young faces, those beings, those kids, those creative, wonderful, rich kids with their lives in front of them. We want to give them an opportunity to tell us how learning is landing for them. And I think this idea is very well supported inside the practice of assessment. So here are 4 bodies of pretty powerful literature, research, evidence. The New Zealand curriculum, assessment should benefit kids, it should involve kids. How about that? Your curriculum is telling you to involve kids in assessment. Here's wonderful Rose Hipkins. There's a third purpose to assessment. It's about kids being involved in assessing their own learning. Or Saljo, Swedish theorist, 79. Assessment should be focused on meaning-making processes and integral to the learning process. Or Terry Crooks, the emphasis should be on the degree of change. Don't worry about standard-based stuff, it's the degree that shift has taken place. So how does this look? In practice, our policy at Hastings Intermediate is look for shift over time and make it explicit. Make the nature of that shift explicit. And we do that by data mining the kids. I don't mean data in terms of quantitative data. I mean taking a moment in time and saying, what does it look like now at the start? And then once you've done some learning, how's it shifted? What's happened to your learning? How's it impacted on you? Has your understanding changed? And then as you go later in the learning process, how has it changed again? Can we talk about the nature of that shift over time? And we're getting kids to do that using portfolios and peer assessments and little vignettes and recorded pieces of learning as they reflect on their progress over time. Do I care that there's no standard that applies to that? No, I don't give a damn. But I'm so excited when kids are able to articulate that and then talk to me about what their next learning might look like and why. Because that's what the New Zealand curriculum's all about. It's all about kids being at the centre. Here is the first ideas of the sun going down at night for a 5-year-old. It goes down behind the hills. I know, I've seen it from my house. But here's the second ideas. Oh, look at those arrows. The Earth is going around the sun. There's all sorts of orbits and things going on there. Boy, look at that shift. Can you narrate that shift? Of course you can. let's get the kids at the centre of our practice, eh? Let's get the kids at the centre of our curriculum, and let's trust the integrity of that. Thanks, everybody.